sometimes I may feel like I'm in the back burner,
Right.
but it's not really that. It's we're evolving as humans, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So yeah, you're marrying the unknown, and you know, again, like, how do men deal with that? How do women deal with that? So
Right.
it's never a thing where it's just a one script, one blueprint. You're
Right.
continuously trying to figure things out, communication, and I want to have real conversations about how people deal with these things.
Yeah.
Yo, we back and in the building, Inside the Mind, episode 7. Man, am I excited to have this conversation with this brother right here, man. I'm very excited. AKA Mr. One and Done. I always wanted to say that. I had to get that out the way, man. He won his pro card in 2020 at the USA's. He's been competing for 8 years, so don't think this is just like an overnight success. He's been putting in mad work. So he's done 2 pro shows, including winning both of them. And this year, not too long ago, I want to say about 3 weeks ago, at the Pacific USA's, my guy, Jonas Jamena. How you doing, brother?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Like I said, I'm super excited to just do this and have a conversation with a great guy. So pleasure to be here.
I appreciate that. And this is not your typical conversation, of course, for people that's been following. I don't want to dive into, hey, what it is that you're doing on your off days or your sets or your macros and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is about, the mindset of you and, your journey and what you're going on. And you've had a pretty interesting journey thus far, man. But I always like to check in with everyone. And first and foremost, how are you doing mentally these days?
Amazing, honestly, man. It's after this, actually, I have a therapy session. So that's kind of how I take care of my mental health in that aspect, because I take care of a lot of people. I coach a lot of people. I have a lot of clients. And so for me, I truly believe in pouring into my own cup first before I pour onto others. So that's something that I do for my mental state, to be able to really be mindful about where I'm at in life and the direction that I'm trying to go, and how to be able to get there with the right people and different perspectives. That's what it does for me as far as therapy. So yeah, man.
That's amazing, man. You don't hear that too often in the sport, as far as like we go through so much, but you don't hear too many athletes talking about them actually going to go, see a therapist. And the irony in that is, me going to stay for my master's in clinical psychology and then my PhD in clinical psychology, like those two things. And sometimes, like, I even put that stuff on the back burner, which I definitely shouldn't have. But talk to me a little bit about well, first of all, how long have you been, seeing a therapist, and what has that done for you over the course of your career?
A lot, man. I think it's a very powerful tool that I was able to incorporate within my arsenal. And so I've been going. I went for about 2 years straight, from 2020 all the way to about 2022.
Okay.
And then I had a period of time where I stopped for a little bit. And then I just recently incorporated again within my routine, just roughly about 2 months ago.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that, again, like it's I have to incorporate it, just like an exercise, and you want to develop, like, let's say, upper chest. It's not that you have it, you stop doing the things. You got to keep doing it in order for you to keep progressing, or to even retain it, as far as the goal. So yeah, so I've been doing that for that long.
That's dope to hear, man. And it's crazy. Like, we spend so much time focusing on, mind muscle connection and making sure we're focusing on certain muscles, but people forget, man, the mind is a muscle as well. And it has to be exercised just like anything else. So that's amazing to hear, someone of your stature and your caliber, talk openly about that and going back. So speaking of going back though, talk to me about where you started, like what got you into this rigorous sport called bodybuilding?
Oh man, it's you're gonna be talking for a while here. No, but
Hey, that's all right.
um, yeah, yeah. So I actually got started. So back in 2015, um, I was going through a lot of transitions in my life. You know, back then I was about 24, going into 25 years old. So I had a lot of things that I had to figure out at the time. Made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot from them. And
Mhm.
so during that whole transitional period of learning and adapting and growing, um, I needed something that I can hyper focus on, to be able to really improve myself in that sense, because I felt like I lost myself at the time and I had no
Okay.
purpose. I was going to school at the time for aviation, so I was trying to become a pilot. I got my private pilot license back in 2015, and
Nice.
then yeah, man. So my original dream slash goal was to become a pilot, and when I started doing it, it wasn't. It just didn't click. It just didn't have that type of I guess you can say deeper sense into my soul that this is what I wanted to do. Um, and so as I was going to school, working full time as a waiter, and I was doing that for some time, and I went through a horrible breakup at the time as well too.
Mhm.
And I just needed something like an outlet to do something positive for myself, because at that time too, I went through my whole drinking stage. So working at a restaurant, as a server, it was one of those things where we get off of work and we go grab a drink with the coworkers right after
Right.
our shifts, and we just justify that as like uh, a social aspect, or just part of the job kind of thing in that industry. And yeah, and so I got started with bodybuilding 2015. I started watching a lot of YouTube stuff as far as like workouts and diets. So in the beginning, I was really self-taught. I did a lot of. I'm a student of the game. I'm a student of the game still. I have a lot to learn as a competitor and as a person. But so I
Mhm.
got started then. Started looking up stuff. I even watched like a bunch of the OGs on YouTube, like the Christian Guzman and all those guys, and
Nice.
yeah, and Matt, what is his name? All the other guys, man. It's just it's insane. Um, and of course, like Jeremy Bundia,
Mhm.
and I wanted to just change my body, and with that, I enjoyed the actual progression on a daily basis. I wasn't much focused on the end goal, but rather just seeing the progress and like the discipline and the things that I'm doing is coming into an addition to where I want to be.
Okay.
So once I start seeing that progress, I ended up hiring a coach, which was Ariel, who's one of the best coaches in the game now. Cuts.
Mhm.
He was my first coach for a couple of the shows that I did in the beginning of my career. So that kind of got me. That was like a catapult for me to like this whole uh, ball game of bodybuilding.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, that's dope. I struggled with that initially, and what I mean by that is, like, again, like, I'm still working, my 9 to 5, of course, but we used to, "Hey, after work, let's go get a drink. After work, let's go do this, let's go do that." And, again, like, you use it as a reason to, to be social. So when I first got into bodybuilding, it was almost like, "Dang, like, how do I separate from that?" Because there is no in between.
Yeah,
Like, and you gotta deal with that, so it's like, "Dang, how do I separate from, close friends who wanna kinda dive into that world," which is fine, like, it's no judgment at all, but where I want to go and where I want to be at, in which even right now I didn't know I could, make it to this far, but I can no longer do that. So, was it hard for you to make that separation? And if so, like what things did you do to kind of make sure you stayed straight on your path?
Honestly, it's the discipline that I was able to cultivate within myself that I love the most.
Mm,
It's learning how to respect yourself and respecting your decision and not having any type of outside factors or any outside influence to rattle that type of mindset that you have, and almost, it gives you solitude. People sometimes, I struggled the most with the transitional period. Like, I lost a lot of friends
mhm,
during that transitional period, just because I think they didn't understand who the person I wanted to be, and they weren't familiar with that person that I'm becoming. And so, in a way, it wasn't accepted with my social, my friends at the time. And that's basically probably one of the struggles that I had during that transitional period, is having the right people around you, to be able to really go further in your goal, or whatever you're trying to achieve. Whether it's bodybuilding, or achieving your doctorate, or being the best at something. I think there's going to be that type of resistance that you won't understand sometimes. But for
mhm,
me, it was more of the discipline that I was able to really understand and respect myself in a deeper level, to where if I say no, it's not because I'm trying to hurt your feelings or hurt anyone else's feelings, but rather it's just what I want to do. And if I'm not hurting anyone in that process of my actual decision, then I'm gonna stick with it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was the biggest thing for me, to be able to really have self-respect and cultivate that discipline in a much deeper sense, to where it's solidified. So then that would honestly attract people, the right people in your life, and then they would respect it. So that's, I think, the biggest thing for me, to be able to do that.
that's awesome, man. Like to have that type of self-actualization and to understand that, early on. So and it's crazy how you mentioned how making the right decisions is actually like the biggest form of self-respect. And that can kind of get lost in a sense where it's just like you can kind of feel pressured into doing other things with,
Mm-hmm.
with even with my wife. So sometimes like she's not in bodybuilding. So I can't necessarily expect her to really understand. So sometimes she just wants to, enjoy my time and eat. And it's something like
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in process, like I have to say no. And then there's some type of guilt that may come with that.
Mm-hmm.
But to go along with what you just said, like the guilt is okay, but as long as like you're not doing it to be hurtful or harmful, then you are making the right decision and you can have those conversations and go on about it. So that's dope for you to
Yeah.
have that deep sense of self. And how long did it take you to come to that, sense of self? Because in the sport, you could lose that. I've done it a
Mm-hmm.
couple times. So has there been situations where you have lost yourself in the sport, and what did you do to kind of get back to that?
Yeah, man. Honestly, many times, I think a lot of people within bodybuilding would can relate to that. Not everyone's perfect, and we all struggle. So I think if someone says they've never actually experienced that, or just lost that type of discipline, they'd be lying. You know, and
Right.
so and so for me, it was a struggle. That's why I also, like I said, go through therapy. And
Mhm.
again, going back to what I said earlier, which was having the right people around you. For me, the biggest catapult to my recent success is having my partner, my lady,
Mhm.
Nicole. And she has been, people describe some things like this, like they're a rock kind of thing. But
Mhm.
for me, it's more of like she's more of like my light. Like, if I'm like in a dark place, or let's say I just can't see straight or see the path that I'm trying to go, she's right there, you know. And of course, you know, the higher being, with whatever you believe in, and whether it's God or the universe or whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
may be, that's always there for me to really uh, go into and tap into. So those two, along with again the right people, is a big help for me whenever I'm going through struggles or just losing that type of discipline that I have, that I know I have in me, but sometimes you just need that little bit of boost, because again, at the end of the day, we're all humans, we have feelings, and that's what makes us humans. You know, it's our emotions and our feelings, but it's how we maneuver through those things in order for you to really achieve great things. And so, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to your light, your lady. I
yeah,
totally agree.
man.
Because without my wife, I would not be doing this. I know there was a couple times she wanted to kick me in my behind, but
Yeah,
yeah,
bro. Yeah, yeah.
it's needed, man. I can't preach enough about the people around you and the support system, and like how important is that for you to not only to sustain self, but to, you know, just to progress. Like
Mhm.
that is just vitally important, you know, just within this sport, and you know, personally, you know, with your own mental health. So shout out to, you know, your light. But one thing that I've noticed as far as from you, and I've came across you at the USA's in Vegas, and you was posing with Jeremy. And if you notice, I was the one sitting there just watching. And like your passion exudes in everything you do. Like, and I also heard you mention, like, I think you posted a video about when you was getting tanned, and she was asking like, man, how do you do all this and how do you do all that? And it's just about what it was, a simple answer, and you just said you love what you do. And I thought that was like so profound. So with your, I know your passion carries you, but you do so much. You actually coach one of the girls who I actually work with in the gym. Her name's Haley, and she speaks like the world of you, bro. And then I just felt like you transformed her so much. But with everything you do, like your attention's here and here and here and here and here. Like, how do you not slow down? How do you not get in your head? How do you not, you know, back up and say, you know what, I feel like this is too much, like, or become overwhelmed? Like, what are some of the tools, even with therapy? Maybe you're doing other things as well. Like, how do you have your hand in so much, but yet you're so successful at everything you do?
It's a great question, man. And honestly, the first thing that comes into my mind is to be able to do things the right way. I believe in doing things the right way the first time around, so then you don't have to do
Mm,
it again. And not necessarily, you know, excuse me, not necessarily always trying to do everything right, because you will make mistakes.
mhm.
But the best thing about that is if you make the mistake and you don't learn from it, that's on you. So for
Okay.
me, I make my mistake and I try my best. Keyword is try, because I'm not always gonna hit the mark. You know, that's not, it's not always gonna be like that where you hit the mark all the time. But it's about learning from that mistake and doing it again correctly, right?
Got you.
It's just like Kobe Bryant, just like Michael Jordan. They it's you practice the same shots over and over and over and over and over and over and over, right? Just to make a couple of them during the game. It's
Absolutely.
those are the reps that count. So for me, doing those reps mentally and being able to transcend it into my work, my relationship, my clients, those are the things that help me as a coach, as a human being, as a boyfriend, as an athlete, to be able to do things the right way. Um, and the second thing that came through my mind when you asked that question was just being present. I feel like,
Mm,
for me, this is probably, it's a great tool, but it's also something that deviates a lot of people because I get lost in that funk sometimes. But sometimes you have to ask yourself what really matters.
right.
How is this serving you, or is this something that is helping you in the long run, or is this just deviating you away from what you're trying to achieve? So in a way, preserving and conserving your time onto the things that actually matters is what had helped me the most. And again, these are the things that I can't and will not be able to do without the right people in your corner.
Yeah.
So simple things like that, to be able to do that is a huge thing. Um, so
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing, man. Again, that support system, but it is dope to know that how you can just be so hyper focused on everything you're doing, but still have the resolve to kind of again have that sense of self. And again, I'm not like the greatest coach in the world, but I guess after becoming pro, like your clientele picks up. So with that, the tool you're talking about, the phone, I'm constantly on it, checking on people like, hey, you good? Da, 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 da. And then where the sacrifice comes in is the home. And again, like my wife had to say, look, you have to be present, the words you use. Like when my daughter turns 4 in like 2 weeks. And it's like, yeah, you're there, but are you present? There's a drastic difference in that, like a
yeah.
very drastic difference. And she had to point that out to me. And again, like you still got to be a student. Like you don't know everything. And just to have her there to kind of tell me that's just like, okay, yeah, you're right. Let me put this phone down and be present, pay attention, be active, all those things matter. So kudos to you, man, for actually being present and active in everything you're doing, man, because you're doing all that and winning, by the way.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's again, it's a nonstop battle. It's I'm not always like present, because again, it's you just got to keep trying. The moment you stop trying is the moment you become either stagnant or you just lose. And for me, life is an opportunity for you to really tap into the things that life has to offer. And the only way to see the actual beauty of life is to be able to experience it to the full extent, right? Last night
Yes.
I was talking to my lady last night. I talk about my goals with her all the time, and she talks about hers
Mhm.
all the time. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 2 years, because this is my second year in Olympia. I'm gonna give myself two
Mhm.
years to really put in everything I got and be one of the best bodybuilders in the world. But what's next after that? I asked her, where do you see me? Where do you see me being great at after bodybuilding? Because for me, this is just an avenue. This is just an avenue for me to
Absolutely. Mhm.
for me to do other things in life. Like I'm not going to be bodybuilding for the rest of my life. It's
Mhm.
for health reasons. I want to be able to do other things. So she mentioned I could be a great cook. I can be a sushi chef, and that's something that I wanted to do, as well, before that I thought about. So it's one of those things. Hey, it's
That's
so it's
what's up,
always,
man.
yeah, yeah, it keeps me going. Honestly, it's like it's one of those things that keeps me going, um, to be able to really experience life to the full extent. So
That's what's up. Sushi, huh? If I
yeah.
recall correctly, because I do my research, you and my guy Jason was in a challenge not too
Yo,
long ago.
yo, that was brutal.
Man, look, okay. So hold on. I'm supposed to take my daughter out to sushi probably tomorrow because I got to fly out the pits.
Yeah,
Um, maybe 3 rolls max for me, and my stomach's like, yeah, that's enough.
yeah,
Bro, y'all ate 100. Oh my, talk to me about
yo,
it, bro. Talk to me about it.
yeah, yeah. So quick recap. So Jason tagged me on a video of this
Uh-huh.
food challenge. This lady was eating like 100 rolls or 100 sushi rolls for in like under 20 minutes, and I was like, dude, like my competitive ass just like
Uh-huh.
just picked. Like it just there's no questions. It was like okay, how do I get a hold of the manager or the owner of the restaurant? How do we book a reservation? So I did all that within like 20 minutes of him sending it to me.
That's
Booked the
crazy.
reservation, and the next, I guess you could say, hurdle was for our coach to approve
Mm-hmm.
that shenanigan that we were about to do. And
Right.
so Jason goes, hey, I don't know if coach is going to let us. And I asked Ryan Betson, which is our
Uh-huh.
coach, and he was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. And so I sent Jason the screenshot of our coach saying, okay. And I sent a
That's
screenshot of the
hilarious, bro.
reservation, and we made it happen. Yo,
And look.
but it was brutal. It was brutal,
It
man.
looked brutal because I'm like, dude, I be full, bro. I'm not the capacity eater by a long shot. Like I get my refeeds here and there, and then that's it. And I
Yeah,
was like 100 rolls, and then there was like one part where Jason was like, "Oh my god!"
yeah. I think people don't understand that when you're even though we have a lot of muscle and we're big, we when we're eating and when you're on prep, our stomach shrinks because we're not really eating a lot. We're eating high dense food that is very
Exactly.
satiating. At some point,
Hmm.
of course, it's not gonna suffice. It's not gonna make us full, depending on how deep you are in prep. But most of our foods keeps us full. Just simple thing
Exactly.
is chicken breast, like keeps you full compared to having some sort of like chocolate, for example. So that's the difference, and people don't understand that. We walk in there like, oh, you guys got it, you guys got it. I'm like, honestly,
No.
I'm kind of nervous. Yeah, yeah,
Dude, I seen that plate and I was like, ain't no way. Ain't
yeah,
no way. Don't
yeah.
even
It was a
I don't
struggle.
care who. Don't ask me to do none of that. It's not I'll watch. I will watch
Yeah,
all day. That,
yeah.
that's
I
dope, man.
ain't,
But I'm glad y'all finished it though.
yeah, no, I ain't having sushi for at least 10 weeks. The remainder of this damn trip.
Oh man, that's
So
hilarious. So I know you and Jason are under the same coach. He talked about how how instrumental Ryan has been to him. So I would
yeah.
like to, offer that same question. How instrumental has Ryan been to you as far as your career and most importantly your mental health?
Oh man, having an amazing coach in your corner is crucial. Whether it's a coach or a mentor or a teacher, whatever you want to call it, it's important. So with Ryan, what he does is it's so profound. It's so simple yet so profound because the simplicity of his coaching is what makes it special. Because
Okay.
he's not one to babysit. He expects. Here's the plan, execute it.
There
If you
you
don't
go.
execute it, if you don't, it's simple. The thing is, though, for me, as a coach, it doesn't apply to a lot of people. But for Ryan and what he does, he gives it to you, and he gives you the benefit of the doubt. Like are you gonna do it or are you not gonna do it? If you don't do it, simple, you're not gonna win. If you do it, you're gonna win. And it's one of those things where he won't give you a compliment unless he actually means it. So
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what I learned from him as a client of him or his, and also something that I'm able to apply to my actual coaching, is these things, these variables, that things sometimes are just very simple.
Mm-hmm.
People overcomplicate things, just to justify that they can't do the actual work itself. And that's the sad truth about bodybuilding. And the only ones that succeeds are the ones that are just doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is to be great at the fundamentals.
That's
You
it.
know, you're trying to, you're trying to do a whole 360 dunk over here when you can't even shoot a damn fucking free throw. Like,
Man,
you know what I'm saying? Like, start with those basics and be great at them. Like, that's what the guys behind you on your wall did for
exactly.
millions of, you
Uh,
know. And so, in all aspects, whether it's basketball or bodybuilding, um, Ryan being a great coach, and him being able to um, walk the walk, because he competed for years. He was
mhm,
a bodybuilder. He's coached thousands of clients, and so he has experience. He knows what he's doing. So you have to trust really your coach if you have one. Um, Unless of course they that doesn't apply to a lot of people. But if
mm,
you have a great coach, just believe in them as much as they believe in you, because at the end of the day, that's a relationship. You just like any other relationship in your life, so you have to invest in it as well. It can't be like, hey, I'm gonna hire this guy, here's my money, like make me a fucking Olympian. No, man, like it doesn't work that way.
not
it
even
doesn't
close.
it doesn't work that way. And for me, I think loyalty is a big thing for me too, because that's what that team has, zero gravity.
Mhm,
um, and the camaraderie. Like, I was training with Jason. We're going to be in the same lineup for Olympia, literally like back to back, same lineup. So we're both going to get looked at the same time, the same amount of time from the judges. And we were training just, over the weekend. And it's one of those things that is great to have, that camaraderie. And that's also what I try to bring to the table when it comes to my own business, and with all the other bodybuilders around me, is, bro, there's no reason to hate or just spread that negativity, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing.
exactly, and as crazy as that sounds, it still happens, but
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate, and that is, like, the one thing, though, I do salute about, your guys' team is that, like, you pretty much all of you are, typically in there when you can get in there, but it's always a group. It's never like one or
yeah,
two. It's
yeah,
always a group, and it's always whoever's, hitting their set, they're getting pushed by the opposite person or the opposite, like, to the totality of all of you guys. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? So, and that again, support system, like, that's part of it. So, like, I commend, your guys' team for doing that, because again, that can be lost too. Like you said,
yeah,
you're going to be in the same probably comparison lineup with him based off last names, because I'm assuming that's how it goes.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, man. So, and that's, and he talked about that too, like, as far as like being on the same stage with your brothers, and it's still your brother no matter what. Yeah, you want to
yeah,
win, but that's your brother, and you're going to be happy for your brother, when they win, just as
yeah,
much as they would be happy for you.
yeah.
So, and that's pretty dope, man. But your nickname out here is Mr. One and Done. You competed last year, won pro debut. It was actually talked about as far as you coming in looking lights out. You came into this one, Mr. One and Done. You won, but the battle was epic. The battle was epic between you and Alex. So the question I have for that is not necessarily about the show, but because that nickname is coined, is there any pressure that comes with that now?
Oh, a lot, bro, a lot.
Talk to me about it.
Honestly, a lot.
Uh,
A lot. It's one of those things that people expect you to do the same thing you did last year and better. And for me, that was a mental struggle,
mm,
because I was having a lot of mental hardships in the beginning, and then during the majority of my prep for Pacific USA's.
mhm.
Um, and that pressure, sometimes you have to think about it. Like they say, pressure is a privilege, right? Because
Yes,
you're in
yeah.
that position. But then again, like sometimes it does get to you. Sometimes you're like fuck, like I there's this weight that you have to, you have to carry, and if you don't, it's like it speaks a lot. Um, and so being able to do that, man, is, I still can't wrap my head around it. It's pretty fucking insane to be able to do that. But again, dude, it's you tap into that like bad motherfucker in you, and
That
you do the
that you
damn
are,
thing.
sir. That you are.
You do the damn thing. That's another thing, man. I think you said how, um, as humble and whatever people describe me as, I'm I'm competitive as fuck. Like it's
Mm,
one of those things where, I who was the one who said it? Jordan, Michael Jordan. So he made enemies in his head. Whether, I don't know if you saw that movie, the doc.
the last dance.
Yes,
Oh, I watched
yes.
that
So
faithfully, brother.
yeah, so
Mm,
so I was able to relate to that, man, because honestly, like I said, we talked about camaraderie and we were all brothers at the end of the day. But on
mhm.
stage, man, I'm ready. I'm ready
Hey.
to to do the damn thing. And being a student of the game, I think, is what helps me be able to do these monumental things in my career, and be able to do the one and done type of approach to shows. So, but yeah, definitely a lot of pressure, bro. But it's something that I'm willing to keep doing, as
Woo.
long as I'm able to, do what I've been already doing. So just got to do it better next time around. So
Absolutely. It's crazy, man, because like I wasn't in the building, but I
yeah,
felt the intensity through the phone. And it was like,
yeah.
we get that itch. I was like, I'm about to go into prep right now. I'm telling you, like that intensity
Yeah,
was crazy. And it, like, you talk about your competitive edge, but it was so humbling for you, like when you were up there with Alex. Like it was pretty much every time y'all did a turn, you guys pound, you salute to the crowd, and it's like you could never tell that you got this killer instinct in you. It was so respectful and humbly done. So to hear you say that, it's like, yo, you have to have that. It's like a borderline edge, ego, like whatever you want to call it. Like you gotta, I don't even want to say tiptoe it. You kind of gotta go over it a little bit to
yeah.
make sure you're locked in and you stay in that zone. So I commend you on that. How was the atmosphere, by the way?
The actual crowd, the stage, dude, everything. If you're referring to that moment, it was like a movie. It was like a damn movie, bro. It's hard to describe because it's one of those like badass moments like that I will forever uh, that I will forever be grateful for, and just live in my head forever. I've only been able to watch that video maybe twice, my YouTube video of show day, just because there's so much raw emotion in it. But that
Yeah,
moment,
man.
dude, that moment was so surreal because the amount of support and the amount of fire that I had, was insane. And I think that's what kept on keeping me going. It's like
Hmm.
it's like it's insane. It was insane. Honestly, that's the best I can
Well,
describe it.
like I said,
Insane.
man, I felt it through the phone. Like I was on my way to the gym during finals and I tapped in. I don't think Ryan went live. I think whoever you gave your phone to went live. And I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
propped it up like, yeah, I'm about to watch this. And I'm like, yo, it's getting crazy out here. Like I
yeah. The
felt
crowd
it
was
through the
insane.
phone, man. That's
Yeah, and being able to do that again with, I had a lot of my brothers that I competed with, and share that stage with. So to be able to do that with them, and sense that love on stage, and I can hear my name behind me and in front of me, like that to me was crazy. So that's why I have so much respect for all the competitors like you and just anyone in general that does what we do
Mm-hmm.
is because you only understand it when you've done it. And to be able to be in that position, even to compete, I had my guy like Ali. He came from, I believe, Australia, um, and it was his first time in the U.S. And to be able to hang out with him and share the stage with him, and gave me mad props for winning the show. But it's one of those things, man, that it's just the abundance of love and support was there, and it's present. And it was just radiating through the damn room, and that venue was huge. Um,
Yes.
and so that to be able to share that with them and experience that and be able to win the show, yeah, honestly, probably one of the best, if not one of the best moments of my life. So
That's what's
yeah.
up, man. I know. Look, if y'all watching this and you come into a Jonas show and it's in California, they half the crowd is taken. I'm telling you right
Yeah,
now,
that's
because the
true,
one I
brother.
went to last year, I was like, oh, they in here deep. I was like,
Yeah,
he bringing everybody, but and I wasn't even at the Pacific USA's this time, and it felt like that energy. I was like, it's a lot of people
yeah,
in there, and
yeah,
I know you're one to carry your culture on your back, bro, because you post a lot about that too, and you have a few brothers that's in the bodybuilding world who just recently turned pro and not too long ago as well, who's part of
yeah.
your culture. Talk to me a little bit about that, how why that's so important for you.
Because so when I say for the culture, I was born and raised in the Philippines, man. So
Mhm.
I moved to the States when I was 15 years old. So I've seen I've seen what poverty is, like actual poverty. I've seen real struggles in life. I've seen pure corruption and just overall third world country. Like that's where I was, and
Mhm.
to be able to live that and see it firsthand and go to America and be able to do these things and tap into these opportunities and be able to connect with people that are doing great things is something that I do for the culture. That not only that I'm able to do it with 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 the opportunities that came with hard work and all the cliche stuff that you'll hear, with when you just put in the work, you get rewarded, or it's one of those things that I want to be able to embody and also
Mhm.
show people that it's not necessarily if I can do it, you can do it, because I hate that terminology or that phrase, because
Mhm.
not everyone's variables in life will be the same. And I
Mhm.
think it's a very arrogant thing to say, or ignorant thing to say, I should say. Um, but when I say for the culture, it's that it's being able to show people that you're capable of so much more, whether you had help, or you came from a poor family, or whatever hardships that you went through in life, you're able to do great things as long as you put in the work. And so that's what I wanted to do, is to show that to the culture and the Filipinos, and just honestly to anyone that has some sort of facing adversities, or just not getting a break from life. It's about your mindset and how you talk to yourself, and who you talk to, and who you incorporate, who
Mhm.
you associate yourself with. you know that's crucial. Who you associate yourself with is a huge thing with if you're trying to achieve great things. So
Absolutely, man. Keep doing your thing, man. I'm amazed by just your presence, bro. Just because it's so much passion that comes from you. So again, man, keep doing it. So I'm gonna hit you with a couple quick hitters before I let you go.
you're good, bro.
Um, words of wisdom you can give to the bodybuilding community for, those that's either trying to come up and get their start, or for those just trying to make a name? Like, what's something you could tell them to kind of help guide them in the right direction?
I say, I say, stay in the path, stay in your own path, stay in your own lane. Because if you actually understand that in the most deepest sense of that statement, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's because one, uh, it's less traffic, meaning there's less noise, there's less things you
Mm,
got to deal with, so there's less variables for you to go through, because it's your own path. So in a way, you're uncluttering your walkway. You're able to walk a little bit, smoother through that pathway, because you're not listening to what this guy's saying, or you're not comparing yourself to what this person's doing. Because
mhm.
different chapters, yeah, you have different chapters. You can't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 28. It's
Facts.
and so I guess that's a big thing, is being able to stay in your lane, know why you're doing it, know why you're doing these things, and stick to those reasons. Because sometimes we forget why we do certain things. That when you get to that point where you're tired, or like, let's say you're on prep, right? You're tired and you just don't want to do the cardio. You don't want to eat your meals. You go back to why you got started. You go back to
Mhm.
why you're doing this, and then you remind yourself those things. So yeah, those two things would be, one of the biggest things that I would
Yeah.
say. So stay in your lane, and be able to have your whys. And the last thing is have a great support system.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
don't forget to also water that, water those relationships, because you can't just keep on taking and taking and taking and taking. That it's not a relationship. That's not a relationship. So you have to also reciprocate that love, that support, that you're getting from these people in your life. And those three things, if you're able to do those things correctly and have that be present within your journey, I think you'll do just fine. You'll do great things in life, in any aspect, whether it's bodybuilding, or trying to be the best at whatever you're trying to be the best in. So yeah,
Absolutely. And I'm learning this year to water those seeds, brother. 'Cause
yeah,
I took the year
yeah,
off, man. That's so important, man. So you hit that
yeah.
on the head for sure. So, besides the Olympia, which you're blessed and graced enough to be going to your second one, what is a show that you may have on your bucket list and you say, I want to go to this one and I want to win this one? Which show is that?
Arnold's next year.
Hey, oh,
That's a
talk to me nice.
that's a big thing, man. That's a Imagine doing that and one and done. That would be a statement right there.
Look, you do that.
So
If you do that, which I believe you can, no one should ever question nothing. No one should question nothing now. First of all, let's call
yeah,
it what it is. But that would be dope, bro. And I can see
yeah.
you doing it for sure, man. That's
Yeah,
dope.
that's the goal next year. So it's a lot of things in mind, as far as how to be able to do that. It's already happening, as far as the things that I need to do in order for that to happen. So,
Okay.
it's not just the prep. You gotta plan. You gotta be 3 steps ahead of everything,
Man,
because your competition is the same way. They're
exactly.
so you have to be able to be adapt to that. So.
Exactly. And then last but not least, I definitely want to continue this conversation, this dialogue with not just men's physique, with pretty much all across the board, man. I feel this is important. And to hear your story has definitely enhanced this. So if you could choose two people And it doesn't matter, guy, girl, doesn't matter, that you would like to see have this dialogue and come on and tell their story on here, who would those two people be?
Oh man, that's difficult. There's a lot of great people that I'm
Mm,
able to.
mm.
Two people. Can I get back to you on that?
Yeah, nah,
But yeah,
no
it's
worries
hard.
at
It's hard
all.
because I have a lot of people that I can genuinely like say like, man, like people would benefit so much from just hearing your story, because everyone
Mhm.
has a story to tell.
Absolutely.
It's what you learn and get out of it. And so, and I have a lot of people like that, that
No,
I
no
learned
worries,
from.
man. You can get back
So
to me. So here's what I'll say regarding
yeah.
that. If you get a message from Jonas, because he has to help me get you on here, or if you get a message from me that says, "Hey, Jonas referred you to me," you better answer it, and
Yeah,
that's how we'll go from there. So
that's what it is. Yeah.
yeah, but my guy, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Another reason why I do this is, again, being a student, and I love learning, and I know everything is just surface when you get on that stage. It's way more to it. It's way more under the surface as far as what got you to the stage, and you elaborated on that so well today, man. So I appreciate you so much for
Thank you.
coming on here, man.
No, thank you so much. Honestly, it's one of those things that I love to do and understand, because just like what you said, people see us as this like, oh, this, meathead and just lift weights and
Mhm.
flex in the mirror and things like, no, man, like this is it's much deeper than anything, beyond the aesthetics and the vanity of these things that we do. Um, it's much deeper than that. So we always say in dark sport, it's just it's not for everyone. It's if you know it, you know it. And so,
Absolutely, man.
and when you understand it, man, yeah. So, but yeah,
So,
thank you so much for having me,
oh,
man.
no
It's
doubt, man. That's
amazing.
the wrap for episode 7. We'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Yo, peace. Keep making moves, guys.
Yes, sir.